Hey folks, Deano here again. This time taking another look at a Dragon Ball Z model kit, the Figurized standard line. Yeah, it's been a little while since I looked at some of the older kits. Obviously I looked at Vegeta quite recently. He is a really good pickup, the new spec version, so yeah, definitely recommend him. But yeah, I was scrolling, as I always do, on AliExpress, and noticed they actually had Android 18 still at a relatively decent price. I got her for about 27, I think. And yeah, originally I'd never bothered with the Androids because I didn't really like the faces that were on the model kit versions. But now that I no longer have the figure arts, which is one of my biggest regrets, is selling those, to be completely honest with you. Yeah, I have technically an evil android's shaped hole in my display. So yeah, technically to me this is future Android 18, and when I get the model kit for 17, which, spoilers, is a bit more difficult, because unlike 18, 17 has basically shot up in price pretty much every figure he has, even the Dragon Stars one, and that looks horrendous. But yeah, when we get him, we'll review him. You already know the score. So yeah, I do actually quite like this figure. Like, just before we get her off the turntable, she comes with a decent amount of accessories. She's just a little bit overscaled, but I think I can ignore that. She's not going to be near the Tournament of Power androids. They're going to be on their own in the villains display. So yeah. But yeah, let's take a look at her box now, shall we? So yeah, first things first, as usual these days, this, you might be able to tell by my voice, but this is another figure that I am recording pretty much in bulk from when I have the man flu. So apologies if I sound a little bit stuffy at times. I am getting over it now, but yeah, I can still feel it at times. Anyway, as I was saying, link in the description, both for Amazon and AliExpress. Obviously, Amazon will be more expensive, but more convenient. Take that as you will. But yeah, this is one of the newer boxes that I never actually got this chance to look at, because shortly before the Figurized line pretty much went on hiatus, they reissued pretty much all of them. Hence why this one says Bandai Spirits 2019. I think this was actually closer to like a 2016 release originally. So yeah, quite old. But yeah, this is the new style box. They stopped doing basically the half render, half artwork sort of design, where the character on the box kind of looked like the kit, but at the same time had the more anime-esque features. It was quite weird, to be honest. So yeah, much better. This is just artwork. Still detailing the special android parts. I've put the figure together now. I won't be showing that on camera. I don't fancy taking half the figure apart just to show you a little plastic piece that literally has no bearings on the figure whatsoever. It's a gimmick. It'll stay a gimmick. It can stay as is. 15 plus, Dragon Ball Z logo. On the side, we have the same artwork. On this side, we have an image of what the androids look like. You will notice the eyes. On some shots, the androids have really big bug eyes, which is, for whatever reason, what these kits gave them. I despise those. That is the entire reason I've held off for so long on getting the model kits. But I recently realised they come with eye stickers, which no one actually showed in their original reviews. So I'll be showing them off in this. Yeah, some pictures, eye stickers, Gotenks and Vegito. Gotenks is up there in price now, unfortunately, but he's got pretty much the same mould as the Kid Buu, which turned out not too great. Exact same on this side of the box, and on this long side, just some images of some standard poses and stuff, with those big bug eyes. And on the back, imported by Cosmic Group. Not sure if they are still about, but I appreciate that we do have importers now, official ones. So yeah, let's take a look at her accessories now. So in terms of accessories, she comes with a decent amount. First off, as with all the original Figurized standard, not the new spec ones, the Vegeta and the Goku, those just came with stands, but most of the originals came with some fairly decent effect parts, just clear plastic. You fit them together, they come with a little stand. The stand does not hold up over time. This circular section, because it's clear on clear plastic, eventually it will degrade, and unfortunately most of mine have. They all have, at the very least, stretch marks in them, making them quite loose at the joint, or they outright just break, which is a bit of a shame. So yeah, I would probably get this into a pose that you want, or the stand at least, and just glue the peg before it inevitably breaks on you. But yeah, pretty decent. I like the ones that the androids come with. For some reason, Android 18 gets the short end of the stick compared to 17. 17 gets his energy barrier, which admittedly is just a flat chunk of green translucent plastic, but it's still a lot of plastic, which they didn't give to 18. Which is bizarre considering he still comes with this effect. But yeah, pretty decent. Nice little beam effect. This was when they were getting the beam effects a lot better than they originally had. Those original Kamehamehas were horrendous. The newer ones were really good, but that was around the time I stopped collecting the kits, because I didn't need them. So yeah, nice effect piece there. She comes with a pair of sort of posing hands, which to me are kind of infuriating, because the way her sleeve is designed, yeah, you can't get it into a sort of natural key blast sort of pose. These are more just posy hands than anything else. Especially infuriating because the Krillin model kit actually came with hands that really do look more feminine. They look more suited to Android 18, but the peg hole is inexplicably the wrong size. Don't ask me how that happened, but it did. Quite annoying, to be completely honest with you. She comes with the second belt. The blue and the gold buckle are stickers, same on the standard release. This is identical to the other one, except it has an extra piece for plugging into a stand. Not sure why they don't do what the Gundam kits do, and just like put a peg into the crotch. I suppose being a humanoid figure, they didn't want to do that, but it's a model kit. No one's going to care. She also comes with 2 extra faceplates. You get this one, which is my favourite so far. I will say, if the eyes look better to anyone else, that's because I used a sticker. I'll quickly show the stickers off just now. You get the standard one, which mimics basically what the eyes are default, which is way too big for me. You get number 3, which I think is these ones, which are sort of, they're the same size, but the eyes are up a bit, so it's like she's looking down at you, basically. She 117 make this sort of pose all the time, so I much preferred how these eyes looked. You also get a pair of sideways looking eyes and just a pair of yelling style ones, which are cut out slightly different. You'll notice I didn't use the looking down eyes. That's because no one has done that either, but if we just bring it in, the kissing face also doubles as just like a stern face. So I put the sideways looking eyes on her there. You could also put the looking straight ahead eyes as well. Both work just fine. I was just, when I was building it, I thought to myself, I am much more likely to use a plain old stern face than I am a looking down face, which is basically the kissing Krillin face. I'm never going to have them in that sort of pose, so yeah, I just stuck those eyes onto this and it works perfectly fine. The stickers also give you the added benefit of basically the eyeshadow that the androids have. The standard stickers do not have that shadow around the eyes, which adds even more to the bug-eyedness of them. And then you've got the yelling face, which, yeah, I really do like that. Standard stuff. Sticker for the tongue. Looks good. I painted the earrings. I'd say painted. I used the paint pens because for whatever reason they don't give you stickers for them, even though they really should. Final sticker, which I didn't talk about, is these top ones, which is basically the standard ones, but the eyes are slightly smaller, which I debated on using, because they would probably have looked just as good as the one I settled on. But yeah, end of the day, if a 17 doesn't come with those type of eyes, I'll use them on him. But yeah, very happy when I found out she came with stickers. So yeah, looking at the kit itself now, I got to do the jump cut, but who cares? I'm still not well. Leave me be. But yeah, I did do a little bit of... There we go. Fix your white balance, camera. Thank you. So yeah, I did do like a little bit of customizing on her. Nothing too drastic, just some pore type markers. Did the job just fine. I put a tiny little bit of orange. Something about... There we go, we'll keep it at that. Yeah, something about the blue and the white and the yellow is really messing with my camera's white balance, so I apologise. I'll put the white balance back up once I'm finished talking about her. Yeah, I put a tiny bit of orange through the inner strands of hair, just to give it a bit of depth. I also used the grey marker for the sort of lines in her denim jacket, just to give them a bit more depth as well. The black lines for her inner shirt, well, they are grey. And I used a gold paint pen for her buttons, and it comes across really well. Oh, and I also, for the mouth, I used the brown pore type marker. Gives it a really natural looking mouth, I think. I really like how that came across. And yeah, only other bit was just a bit of silver Sharpie for those boot buckles. I really can't say the words with B, I know. But yeah, really like it. And obviously, sticker for the Red Ribbon Army, logo on the back. Would I have liked that to be separate pieces? Yeah, but that does the job. Completely fine. So yeah, the seam lines for the hair are coming across a lot more visible on camera than they actually are. They are honestly completely fine. No issues whatsoever. The skip piece is also rubber, but for whatever reason they made it quite a thick rubber, so it still hinders articulation. Not as badly as it would if it would have been a like solid skirt, but yeah, not sure what they were thinking with that one. So yeah, if we quickly pop that off, that'll come into later. So it tells you to take off the side of the hair to pop the faces on, but you can literally just pop it off without touching that. So technically you could just glue the hair together and you wouldn't get any seam lines whatsoever that way, because it does tend to move about a little bit. In terms of articulation, it's pretty decent. It actually feels more like a normal figure than it does a model kit. So she can look up about that much. She can look down really well, about that much. It's a double ball peg, so she does get a decent enough range of motion. Some side to side tilt there, swivel, and the neck does move as well. You can do the funky chicken. The arms do pop off because they are a model kit. Taking some design cues from figure arts here. So they can go out that much. They can swivel. Just be careful of this piece. It is solid plastic. Unlike the figure arts, not sure why they didn't go with rubber for the jacket and the skirt. Not entirely sure why they done that, to be completely honest with you, but I mean it still works. She does have a butterfly joint, but it doesn't do a whole lot because there isn't a whole lot of peg there to work with. So that's about as much as she gets, unfortunately. That keeps popping out. That's annoying. That's getting quite annoying now. Yeah, these are on floating hinges. They just pop into the sides of the arm there. We do have a hidden bicep swivel, which is really good. Single joint at the elbow gets past 90. Unlike a lot of the bigger figures, this one doesn't pop out to give you more range, which is a bit strange, but you know, is what it is. And yeah, we have a ball peg at the wrist, but because of how embedded that is, it's a kind of difficult to get any range out of it. That's as far out as that hand goes, which is a shame. Like I said before, especially considering the fact that figures like Krillin actually came with hinged key blast hands, which would have worked just fine with 18. Her ab section, despite having a diaphragm joint, doesn't actually do much of anything. It's mostly the waist that does all the heavy lifting. So she can go back about that much. She can go forward about that much. That is starting to fall apart though, unfortunately. And for some reason that sticker is out of whack. Come on, get back into place. No. Back into place. There we go. Was that so difficult? So yeah. Being a model kit, you are going to have to take it apart from time to time and fiddle about with it. That is basically how the skirts go on, by the way. Literally just sit on the two halves of her waist, and it's the belt that keeps it all in position, even though it's now not playing ball. There we go. That's it. Done it eventually. And that pops in like so. So yeah, like I said before, the skirt, even though it's rubber, it's still quite difficult. Without the skirt, she gets about that much. You can also use pull down. She gets that much with pull down. Can't really go back any because she has a skirt piece and a backside. She can kick out actually really far. That is pretty decent. The cuts at the sides do quite well. Why is this leg suddenly loose? That's a bit infuriating. I'm going to have to try and fix that. Bear with me 2 seconds, folks. There we go. Turns out it was the ball peg at the hip that separated, despite clipping together when I first built it. So it is what it is. She does surprisingly have double joint at the knee. Gets that much range. The boot, despite being a separate piece which clips together, it's a square peg, so we don't get any boot swivel. Down at the feet though, we do have a ball peg. Doesn't move because it's part of the boot, but it doesn't really have to. You can get that much pivot side to side. You bring it down a bit, she gets that much, and that much forward before it pops off. Most of the time though, you're just going to want it in the normal position. So yeah, all in all, she's a little bit hindered, being like a smaller frame and such, but she still gets into all the poses you need her to. At the end of the day, 18 didn't do a whole lot in either timeline. She basically just sat in the sidelines until either she gets absorbed or Trunks kills her. So yeah. All in all, I do really like the figure. I'm just trying to get her into a pose so that I can do some comparisons. So if we stick her there, we will bring in the first, which is Tournament of Power 18, which is the only Figure Arts 18 I now have. I did try to get the bootlegs to review, but unfortunately the only Z version available is 18. 17 is sold out for some reason. So yeah, you can see there's a sizable height difference here. But if you're not going to have the two of them together, you're really not going to notice. Especially when we bring this guy in. This is the model kit Krillin. And this is the Figure Arts one. As you can see, both are the exact same height. If anything, the model kit one would be slightly taller. I have modified my Krillin to have his basically original Saiyan Saga gi or Super gi, whichever one you prefer. I think I done a tutorial on that back in the day, but if you want me to redo the tutorial, let me know and I will show you. Yeah, obviously he's got a custom head. Bootleg Krillin smiling face. Decided to shove it on there and modify. So yeah, same height on the Krillins, so it really just seems to be 18 that changes heights, which is bizarre, to be honest with you. But yeah, final comparison. Let's bring in Boy from the Future Trunks. And yeah, there is a little bit of a height difference here, but you can futz it in display. Like, that's entirely what I'm planning on doing. That's the Tonson Art Toys head on him, by the way, in case anyone is curious. Never again will my Boy from the Future Trunks have the standard head on him. So yeah, the final thing that I want to bring attention to is the fact that, why is the white balance horrible again? There we go. The peg on this kit just so happens to be the perfect size for the Tournament of Power androids. It even pops on. Is the head slightly small for the body? Maybe. But I personally think it works quite well. It works for the standard here as well. Wouldn't work for the original Z androids, but then if you had them, you wouldn't need this kit. So yeah, you pop that on. That doesn't pop on quite as well for some reason, but it still pops on. So yeah, there you go. The heads do work. Are they a little small? I suppose. But at the end of the day, the androids' heads, well, the design in general does tend to fluctuate quite a bit. Like, there's only a select few scenes where the androids' heads are actually this big. They vary from scene to scene. So yeah, you could use these heads easily. The Windswept one, you could have her doing a sort of pose where she's attacking. But yeah, just something to keep in mind for future reference. So yeah, guys, at the end of the day, would I recommend this? Yeah, I would. Even though it's an older kit these days, it's still a decent kit. It fulfills its purpose, which is more affordable figure to stand in for the figure arts on your shelf. I wouldn't touch the Dragon Stars one with a barge pole. I looked at that one and the arms are longer than the bootleg Android 18s. You could go for the bootleg Android 18s, but again, it has long, lanky arms because of the weird use of ball joints. So you'd basically be stuck with the folded arms, if you could even get them on, that is. If you want me to review that bootleg Android 18, feel free to post it in the comments. But yeah, guys, that'll do it for this review. Until next time, I'll see y'all later.